Welcome to the Legacy of the Enduring Agent. I'm your host, Shane Haas, founder of Gratus Homes and Estates. This podcast is about one thing. What does it really take for a real estate agent to finish a long career with freedom, options, and a legacy they're proud of? Most of us were taught how to chase the next deal, not how to plan the last chapter. No one pulls us aside to really talk about retirement, succession, or what stepping back could look like when the time comes. A lot of brokerages focus on one thing: more production this year. At Gratus, we're trying to think differently. We're asking how do we help agents build wisely while they're in their prime so they have options later, whether that's investments, a book of business that they can hand off, or opportunities we build together for income beyond just transactions. That all starts with honest conversations with people who've actually lived it. For this episode, my guest is my mentor and my retired business partner, Nate Harimoto. Nate built a long, successful career in real estate, transitioned his business to the next generation, me, and now enjoys the kind of financial freedom most agents want, but rarely plan for. We're going to talk about what he did, what he'd do differently, and what he wants the next generation of agents to start thinking about now. I'm grateful you're here. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Nate Harimoto. How you doing, Nate? You ever thought you would be doing a podcast in your lifetime?
Definitely a first.
I appreciate you being here and having these conversations. Obviously, we've had plenty in our lifetime and talked about a lot of stuff. So obviously, I want to talk about legacy and just kind of building up there. I do have a structure of questions I'd love to ask and at least kind of go into that and share some of your thoughts on all these.
Sure.
For anyone who doesn't know you, can you share a little bit about your real estate journey and go back as far as you'd like, and how long you were in the business and what kind of work you focus on, if there was a niche or, kind of focus on terms of clientele and or, like luxury or first-time home buyers, things like that?
Well, I didn't go to college to become a realtor, but after a successful career in human resources with Exxon, it was really when Exxon wanted to transfer me from the West Coast back to the East Coast is when I decided I needed to change careers and have more control of where I was. Being from Hawaii, the West Coast was a lot more convenient for us as opposed to New Jersey, where we lived for 14 years. So when I did enter the real estate business, my goal was to support my family. I have 2 children, and making a career change as drastic as this was, it was really a big decision to make. But once I got into it, I really was able to learn from the other more experienced agents. Mm-hmm. Back in those days, we go on caravans together and, talk about the business, et cetera. So that helped a lot. Yeah. Once in the business, I quickly learned that you cannot and should not spend what you make. Mm-hmm. You have to plan for ahead because you don't know when the next deal is coming. Yeah. So one thing back, this is going back 35 years. Back then, it was the IRAs. So when every year I'd put in the maximum what I could put into the IRAs, et cetera. And that's really, now that I'm in a position where I am now, that is my cushion, if you will. Yeah. And then as far as passing it on,
well, I don't want to cut you off, but we'll get to a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
I just want to talk about when you started, because you were in the military too as well prior to all that.
Correct.
Which is probably a lot of life skills and learning.
Right. Also back then, that was during the Vietnam War, and that was when the draft had the lottery system.
Okay.
And so coming out of graduate school, I knew I was going to be drafted. So
Gotcha.
I went through Navy Officers Candidate School and was in the Navy for 2.5 years. And then I joined Exxon.
How old were you when you actually did start and make this career change?
I would have been, it was in 1980, so.
Late 80s, wasn't it? 88 or something like that?
Yeah, oh, that's right. That's right. 80s when we moved to California.
Yeah.
So 88 is when I started in the business.
Yeah.
I left Exxon and
not to tell anybody about your age, but how old were you when that happened, when you made that transition?
I would have been 43.
So in your 40s, and you had the 2 kids at that time,
right?
Kyle and Lonnie.
Right.
It's crazy. That's a big decision.
And one thing I quickly learned is back then, open houses were the way to grow your business. And so I was there out having open houses every weekend, Father's Day included.
Yeah. Well, then that's going to lead into another question, because I want to talk about how much this business does take your time. So looking back, if you could talk to your younger self in your first year, what's one thing you'd tell them or tell yourself about playing the long game in real estate? Interesting.
I guess looking back, I don't really, because I am where I am now, I consider that to be a success.
Of course.
I don't know what I would have changed back then.
Yeah.
But I do advise people to, when you're new, listen to the experienced agents, because they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
They're successful for a reason. I'm not saying do everything they do, because some things won't match up to your personality, and you have to, work hard, and you have to have a family that supports you. During the early days, my wife took care of the home, including mowing the lawn. Yeah. So that's.
To make that change in your 40s too. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. 2 little kids. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit similar, but I was a little younger, of course, but it's scary for sure. I don't think people understand in that regards. Now, early in your career, what did success mean to you when you first started? Did it, was it just about, obviously, to your point, you already answered that, I guess, supporting the family in that regards?
Supporting the family is number one, but back in those days also, there were these top agent awards.
Yeah.
I mean, I milked that.
But you didn't have social media. You didn't have internet.
Exactly.
People need to realize that. So the awards and the paper was a big thing, a big part of the process, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, every Friday you go to the board and pick up your book of listings.
I know.
So
people don't understand that was the case. When I started 20 years ago, it was probably maybe a handful of years or less that you guys were still going to get your book on Fridays. I think, was it Fridays?
Yep.
That's just, put your mind around that. That still cracks me up.
Right.
And then the internet was evolving when I started. So,
and one thing that helped me a lot is, even before going into real estate, I was very active in the PTA at school.
Yeah.
So when I did get into real estate, I had a core business, so I did a lot of business in the elementary school district with the parents that I knew. So that helped me a lot.
That was one of the big things, is your community involvement, which I preach. I mean, I learned it from you, and just something that's part of who I am now, and volunteering and getting involved with whatever. It's service, relationships, and community.
And you cannot be doing it because you want more business.
Yes.
You have to be doing it because you believe in volunteering or that organization 100%. Or whatever.
Service of people. You've always told me that. That's one thing I've always...
Like my Rotary is service above self. So.
Yep. It's amazing. As you get closer to the later stages, well, you're already past, retirement, but did that definition, when you were talking about like success being number one, the awards, did that change or evolve over time as you got closer towards the end? Did that matter as much?
It didn't, but then so did the culture of real estate.
Okay.
Most companies got away from, awarding trips to the number one producers, et cetera.
Yeah.
But, my success would have been first of all, making enough money to support the family and putting away savings, etc. So
I think people, to understand back then when I first started watching you guys did do a lot. There was a lot more, it was more family oriented in a way. I mean, obviously the top agents went to these trips and things like that. And you guys went on, I think, a cruise. You went to some like long, far destinations. And I think I don't think that happens now. I mean, you might go to destinations where there's, like more of a conference kind of feel. So, but let me go into this. So real estate, as we kind of touched on, real estate can be pretty consuming. Clearly, we're on other people's schedules at times. Were there times you felt the business was taking over your life? What helped you keep going for decades?
You can let it take over your life easily. But one thing that I learned early on, and I did, was I would calendar in my son's football games and basketball games, my daughter's basketball games. So if a client wanted to see a house, you just tell them, I'm sorry, but I'm already booked for that time slot. And it works. I mean, they understand. You don't have to tell them that, I'm going to my daughter's basketball game. But I pride myself in missing only one game in my daughter's basketball career in high school. So you have to put your family priorities first.
And most people understand that when it comes to family. And if somebody doesn't, then, I mean, do you really want to work with them?
Adios.
That's a good way to put it. So I'm going to get into a little bit more deeper. So in the beginning, you were mostly focused on the next deal, the next check, supporting your family. Or did you have a long-term financial plan? When did it start to shift for you? Was there a moment that, maybe a little bit more distance? How do I retire? What does that look like? What's the longevity part of it?
It shifted when I got involved with a financial planner. And, my goal to him was that I want to be able to have my savings provide income for the next 10 years. So he developed a ladder. So right now, so 2025 is taken care of, 2026. And now we're out 10 years. So, we have income coming in through my savings. It carries me till 2035. And that's my goal.
That's
always have 10 years out front of income.
Do you remember how long or when that kind of started? How long ago was that how long in your career did you start having that conversation with the financial planner?
Probably 10 years into the business. Because that's when I was able to afford, but I always did save the maximum IRAs that you were allowed to.
Yeah, it's huge. So over the course of your career, how did you approach saving and investing for the future, whether it was retirement accounts, properties, or something else? And is there anything you wish you would have started sooner? I know you kind of touched on the IRAs and things like that in the 10-year plan, but is there anything that you would have wished that maybe you started a little sooner?
One thing that a lot of realtors, which is really weird because they're selling real estate, but they should also understand that investing in real estate, especially in the Conejo Valley, is the way to go. Because not only do you get the rental income, but you get the appreciation of the homes that you invest in. So there are realtors out there that own 10, 12, 15 rental properties, and I'm in a senior community now, and there are people there who are living off their rental income. That pays for their monthly fees, et cetera.
I mean, that most certainly is a long game in the investment world, but you had one. I mean, the house that you moved back in ultimately, but you had that for a little period of time.
Yeah, we had a couple at one stage. But one thing that, it's not easy managing rental properties.
Of course,
so whether you have a manager for your properties, et cetera, it's still work. And at this stage in my life, I'm not interested in doing that anymore. So, there comes a time when you will divest of these income properties, et cetera. But hopefully by then, that just adds to your net worth.
I would think those people that are in in your community probably have property managers and things like that.
Definitely.
So they don't, they just collect and let the other people
Mm-hmm.
deal with every
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it, because it is time consuming for sure. So, um, income in this real estate can really go up and it can really go down. How did you handle the volatility personally? Did you have any rules for yourself about saving and spending, which, I touched on, but I'm sure you can elaborate as this business goes, is a big roller coaster.
Yeah, that's important. You need to not spend what you earn. You need, excuse me.
Yeah.
You need to be aware that the cycle in real estate is every 10 years or so.
Yeah.
That you're going to have a market where you're not going to be able to make the income that you're used to. So you don't go out and buy a $200,000 car because you can
Yeah.
1 year, but then the next year, you wish you had that $200,000.
Mhm.
So you have to live a stable lifestyle and not live according to your income.
Yeah. I think 2007 was a big wake up for a lot of people in that regards, because people are overextending, buying a lot of properties,
Mm-hmm.
buying cars, driving the new thing, going way overextending with the whole concept that the market's, it's not going to go down. Well, yeah, rude awakening, and clearly why it took forever to get out of that. But I agree. That's a tough thing, because we are entrepreneurs at the end of the day.
Definitely.
That's what people lose sight of. We are, and we have personal expenses and we have business expenses. And that income sometimes is great, but you still have to allocate it. The higher the
Right.
income, the more you have expenses, the more
Right.
expenses come about. You
Right.
got to be very careful with that. I totally agree. When did you first start seriously thinking about slowing down or retiring? Was there a moment or season that made you say, okay, I think I need to think about what's next? Obviously, market shifts really are a big thing. I'm sure we lost a lot of agents in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we lost like teachers in COVID years where they had to go teach from home. They're probably like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here. Was there a point where you kind of started like, okay.
Yes. I guess 8 years ago when we moved into the retirement community,
Mm-hmm.
that was when I, realized that I'm doing pretty well financially,
Mm-hmm.
and physically, you
Yeah.
you lose it also.
Yeah.
Like it's not fun showing 2-story homes on a bum knee.
Well, or
So
our 250 point set of deliveries
That's
that we
right.
make, and
That's
yeah.
right. It's just
Yeah.
it becomes physically
Oh my gosh.
impossible.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided that it was time. It was time. But and because of our relationship, Shane,
Yeah.
it made it easier to phase out.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you just jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
So it's helped a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think in even the world of all the contract changes and everything like that, I'm sure this recent law changes with buyer broker agreements, that's probably wiped out a lot of people going
That's
like,
right.
okay, I'm good.
yeah,
You know,
I'd be dangerous writing a contract today.
I think we're all dangerous at times writing contracts, but let's see here. Sorry. When did you first start? We just talked about that. Some agents sell a book of business. Some hand things off to a partner or team. Some just wind down. What did your transition look like? Obviously,
I think our relationship just gave me no decision. Because I took you on early on, and
Grateful for that.
Work with you, and like the way you did your business. So it was easy for me and my clients to accept you as the next step.
Yeah.
So there was no decision there.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, people selling off a business. I don't think that happens often. Maybe in the attorney world or other places like that. But it's odd to me. How do you sell off a book of business? And people don't really know that. And we built our relationship. We've known each other forever, but just over 20 years of just our clients noticing each other, even my clients noticing you, who you are, and as a mentor and stuff. I think it's a huge part of this business.
And I think we did it the right way, is that we exposed each other to each of our clients. So it wasn't as if, my clients were going to you only because I was gone.
Yeah,
You know,
there was
so-
trust, and they knew of the
right.
relationship.
And we did it the right way in our marketing, like delivering poinsettias.
Yeah.
We made sure that you delivered to my clients,
Mm-hmm.
and so you got to meet them too. So
I hope to do the same.
Yeah.
However that looks, I don't know. That's why I'm having these conversations, because at some point, for whoever's listening, is that it rings in somebody's ears to be able to hand that off to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this business is hard, as you know. There's a failure rate of like 80%.
at least.
It's at least that, and I'm sure it's maybe even worse. But it wilds me when people leave this business and just like you said, fall off a cliff and then disappear. Which more power to them if they don't care. But then again, that business could lead to somebody else's success.
Right.
And that mentorship and building that. So I think it's early on, it's important to start, make a leap to find somebody that might be very like you.
And it has to be planned.
Yeah.
So,
I'm beyond grateful for that. So what was it like for you emotionally to step back from being the go-to agent? Did you feel loss, relief, or both?
it's actually a good life now.
Yeah. It's hard to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
I have to plan. Nate, are you around? Well, and I get very, very slight time slots. I'm like, all right.
No, there again, it depends on what you're transitioning to.
Sure.
And in our case, going to University Village was the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
It makes life so simple because things are taken care of, and you have the comfort of knowing that your care is taken care of.
Yeah. You don't have to worry
so
about
we're there until we're not here.
Yeah.
So, and
Don't feel lost.
my kids are very, very grateful that we've made that decision, so they don't have to worry about us. So,
How did you feel when you left? Like, started realizing you were kind of phasing out over the last few years and stuff like that. Was there any kind of emotions there?
I don't think emotions, but it just made life very easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about appointments, client appointments, and all the appointments you have now are by choice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? That's awesome. How would you describe your life now compared to where when you were full? You kind of touched on that quite a bit. That's your legacy and your life now. Enjoying it, keeping busy.
I think I'm where I want to be.
Yeah.
I can't say that I planned it to every detail.
Of course.
But life now is a very good life. Financially, emotionally, family wise, because at my age now, you are restricted to do certain things physically. But that's about it. That's the only restriction, if you will.
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, it should be thought. That's why I'm having these conversations, because I believe, and I guess it's kind of funny because I'm 20 years and now I'm about the same age you believed when you started planning a little bit more in that regards, because I don't want to be in my 70s doing transactions. I mean, I have hobbies. I mean, a lot of people lose sight of hobbies, and I have plenty of them, but I think that's what we strive for. And I think in any business is to ultimately, kind of go off in the sunset, enjoy it, but also leave a legacy behind.
Right.
To, be it income or what people think about you and things like that, which we're going to kind of dive into. So when you think about your legacy in real estate, what are you most proud of, and what do you hope people remember?
I think later on in my career, I realized that there are good agents and there are not so good agents. And I prided myself in being one of the good agents. So people would rather do business with me than maybe Joe Jr. down the street or whoever, so that helps your business. Plus, it's good for your ego.
Yeah.
That you're doing your job well. So
yeah, that always has been the case. Yeah, and I think your community involvement is huge. I think you won a couple awards there at the board twice for your community involvement, which I think is, again, my mentality, which is your mentality, where I learned a lot from, is service, relationships, and community.
I want to stress again, I said it already, but do not get involved with community service because you want business.
Yeah, no.
You have to be doing it because you want to be doing service.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it. Thank you. All right. If an agent who's 10, 20 years behind you came to you and said, I want to finish with freedom and options, what's the first thing you'd tell them to start doing or thinking about? Again, you kind of touched on this, but maybe elaborate a little bit more.
It's family first.
Yeah.
You have to put your family first, and business will follow if you do it right. Yeah. One thing that I always tell agents who are not, or people who are interested in getting into real estate, is be prepared to get smacked on the side of your head, every day by clients who are doing things that are not loyal, are not ethical, etc. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to take rejection and just move on. Don't let it affect you.
That is one thing that you're really good at, and it would drive me nuts. I would dwell on it, and I think that's just seasonal and newer agents, because you can see that, and
because you're more hungry.
True, and I get that, but it still stings a little bit. But 24 hours, and I'm all right, I'm good, But I've seen you shrug off things that I'm just like, what? How? Wait, let's talk about this. This is driving me crazy. And you would ignore me, and you'd smile and go off to lunch or something like that, like it was nothing. I don't know. That's still one thing I could still learn. It's hard, and I think most agents have the hardest time with that in that regards, and it's always going to happen. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I'm getting better at it now 20 years later, so you probably had it down a little bit sooner. Most brokerages are focused on year-over-year production. From where you sit now, what do you think is missing in how we talk to agents about retirement and the long game?
I don't think it's covered at all.
No.
I think everybody's on their own. Everybody does it in their own way, some successfully, some not.
Yeah.
But you have to have a plan. Whether it's IRAs or rental property or stocks and bonds, et cetera. And you should be diverse too. You don't want to have it all in one basket. But real estate in the Conejo Valley is a good investment. It always has been. It'll go up and down every 10 years or so, but always comes back stronger.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think learning over the years, you kind of curiosity and open your mind to a lot of that stuff, and you got to pay attention to it because it is very easy to just go right into a little focus. What's the next deal? What's the next deal? And to your point, you're hungry and you're trying to survive, and then all of a sudden there's another next year and you're unemployed. It's every year you start unemployed trying to figure it all out. But plans and systems, I'm a big believer in systems, planning, habits, consistency, follow-up, all things that I've learned from you as a mentor and just kind of realized over time. And mindset, of course, is such a huge part of it. So we're kind of moving along. So I'm going to go into a couple other questions. Was there a particular mistake or tough season that ended up teaching you something huge about longevity? You went through a couple cycles in your career.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
No, not really. I think.
Or a particular mistake that kind of was like, never do that again.
Yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of those, but I can't recall any right now. But you just have to lead a steady life.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle doesn't change with the market. Your lifestyle should be steady, no matter what the market's like. So
that's a big lesson right there. That's one thing I've always looked up to you about, your consistency. It wasn't like crazy, there wasn't any major dips or major you're absolutely number one, killing it in 1 year, and then you're, next year, whatever. There was always a consistency, always. And I don't know, that to me creates longevity, especially in this business. So
definitely.
Was there anything you didn't do, like incorporating yourself, investing more, or planning earlier, that you now wish you'd taken more seriously? It doesn't seem like, clearly you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this, and you're in such a denial or woulda, coulda, shoulda, but maybe there's something else you can voice into that stuff.
Not really, just, like incorporation.
Yeah.
My son is incorporated,
Yeah.
and he always said that I should too, but it's something that back in the day was not
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
So I never did it, so I don't know whether I should have or didn't.
So, yeah, I
because
did.
Where I'm ending up now,
Yeah.
Without incorporation,
Yeah.
I'm satisfied.
You're still satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah. I incorporated, there's some little tax incentives and
Right,
self-employment and little benefits, at some point or another. But yeah. What part of real estate do you miss the most? And what are you happiest to be done with? We'll end with that one.
Yeah, I guess real estate is a people business.
Yeah.
So I do miss the people, but I have new people in my new lifestyle at University Village. So yes, I do miss it, but I'm able to still continue my relationships with the real estate world to the point that I want to.
Yeah.
But I don't have to.
Yeah.
There are no luncheons or, awards, banquets, or, board seminars or things like that. Yeah. So,
what are you happiest to be done with? With some things that you were like, okay, I'm good at that.
Yeah. I have more choice in what I want, what I do, and when I do it.
Of course. Yeah.
Time.
Time is pretty much the number one thing, to your point, with family, with just what you do, what you experience, what you live.
A lot more free time, which can be dangerous, but so far we're doing okay with it.
Yeah, you are, like I said.
I'm not gaining weight or sitting around and
no, you're most
eating
certainly
my
active.
bonbons. So.
That would be quite a vision and stuff. Is there anything you want to close with that you just maybe I didn't hit, or just anything that
No, I think
you can share?
The real estate world is so different, and I think hopefully things like this podcast will help you in your business as well as agents out there.
Yeah.
But just be aware that it's a different world.
It is
a different world.
But you got to look at it back, and I don't want to go off too much a tangent, but you got to look about how it's evolved even through your time. I mean, getting a book on a Friday to the internet, where it said the internet's going to ruin us all, or it's going to change how we do business. I mean, it did, but it didn't. It still, the service, the community involvement, it's all, it's still all like, still number one priority. Yeah, the technologies help. Now we're talking about AI is, how that's going to, but again, I don't believe AI is going to take away the human part of it, you and the client and so on and so forth. It might change how it looks or how you do it, and it helps and streamlines things, but there's always something that's going to end the world of real estate, in my opinion, and I'm sure you've seen a couple of times. And even now it's, like I said, with the AI thing, so it's quite interesting how it always play out. But the end of it is we're here for people, for relationships.
Right.
That's the exciting part of this. That's the long game. And then planning, to your point. So I appreciate you doing this. I think we did okay.
I think so.
What do you think?
I think so.
Hopefully some people will listen to us, because I think this conversation is important, to your point, that nobody's talking about it. Nobody's setting up. I'm sure there are some agents that are getting involved, buying properties, really focusing on retirement. And those guys are, women and men are up at the top. But there's a lot of people that are just not having those conversations because they're just surviving transaction after transaction. And it's a blinder, in my opinion. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Legacy of the Enduring Agent. I want to thank my guest today for being willing to share not just the highlight reel, but the real story, the lessons, the pivots, and the mindset behind building something that lasts. This podcast is about a space where agents can hear honest conversations about what it really looks like to build, live, and protect a legacy in this business. If this conversation sparks something in you, I invite you to subscribe, share this episode with another agent, and reach out if you want to talk about more what this could look like in your own career. I believe agents are more than transactional. I believe the work you're doing today should create freedom and options for you for your tomorrow. It's about building a brand and a body of work that outlasts any 1 year of any one transaction, a legacy that endures. This is the Gratus way. Stay tuned to another conversation with an enduring agent who's walked the long road and has a story worth learning from. I'm Shane Haas. Thanks again for listening to The Legacy of the Enduring Agent.